Hello, Star Wars fans. Hey, there are just 26 days until Christmas 2021. Oh, we're in the final stretch. And today, I got to notice that today only, you can get 80% off of a storytime visit with Santa. So the way that the virtual visits work is there's a flat fee for the virtual visit, and then there are add-ons. So the add-ons can cost any variety of amounts, but in this case today, you can get 80% off of the Storytime add-on, which makes it just a couple bucks. So if you are still looking to reserve a virtual visit with me as Santa for your family, and I was able to do a couple over the weekend that were fantastic. I was able to do one with Mark Hamilton and his son, and another family where the kid asked for the Battle of Naboo Lego set. I was like, oh, I know where that comes from. So if you're looking to do that, now is the time. We're into the final stretch. And I see all of you guys here. Appreciate it so much. X-Wing. Oh, today is going to be an interesting day, my friend. We've got a lot of things to cover, and I see a lot of our friends here. JC Productions, Anthony, Meg, of course. Meg's here. The young Yoda. Welcome. Good to see you here. And Dale, the Chimera, and MCU OG, Ronnie, Darth Maximus. Man on the Moon, hello, and Daniel Fisher, good to see you, and RF Gaming Channel, Peter Griffin, Green Bear, so many folks just want to say hi, and there's Mark Hamilton as well. So before I just ramble on, I'm going to go ahead and bring Jason in. Hello.
Hey, I thought I was at the story time.
Yeah,
I'm on the show again, aren't I? It's Monday, huh? I didn't know what day it was again.
It is Monday, and I was so happy that today they released another Book of Boba Fett little TV trailer, whatever they call it, and Meg covered it already. But normally they release those things on the weekends, and I don't stream on the weekends. I'm like, oh, I'm missing all the content. But today we have it, so there we go. And Karma Cats reminds me, start the Cantina music. So there you go. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, Boba's all Calgon, take me away. I saw that.
And I was sharing this morning. There's another tool I was trying to use for highlighting these texts, so you can see like Abby right there versus doing Abby right there. So the one down over there underneath Jason is the one that Melon puts in. The one that is here in the window with me is is Twidget, and so I decided to try that. But as I was talking to Jason just beforehand, it's still not quite at the level I want it to be. So we'll just we'll mess around with each one. We'll see how it works.
That's not a power that the Jedi would teach you.
No. Many would say it's unnatural. So I do want to. Jason shared this with me this morning. There's a lot of unnatural here. It was so funny. It says chicken nuggets. I'm a little confused by this because the product says chicken nuggets. But then when you read it says 100% natural, which I'm a little like, really? But anyway.
100% natural. Yeah. I mean, it's naturally chicken produced reserves to be frozen.
Right. No hormones, no preservatives. But it says chicken nuggets, and then it says fully cooked breast meat, breaded nugget-shaped patties. Nugget-shaped patties. So are they nuggets or are they patties? I'm confused.
All I know is shake and bake is the most natural American thing I could think of.
Oh, Meg, that's really good. The fried side of the force.
The fried side of the force.
I understand the marketing that somebody paid to be able to use baby Grogu on there. Yeah. and the Mandalorian logos. So kudos to Lucasfilm for the market, for the selling the rights to that. But I just unclear. Are we nuggets or are we patties? Like, there's a difference, right? In my mind, nugget is bite size. Patty is somewhat larger. What are the size of each of these? Are they nugget size or patty size? Or are they
Santa? He's a 50-year-old baby. None of this makes any sense.
That's true. That's true. Very good. Yeah, 100% natural just means it's not from another planet. So here's the example that I was thinking about using this widget. So you guys see Jake Barrel's comment, and it kind of covers me a little bit, right? So if I hide it there and I bring in from here, there's a widget. Let me. Gotta hide that. So it doesn't cover, but it's also tiny. So that's one thing I wanted to.
I can't read it. I don't know what it says.
I can't read it on the screen there either, so I don't think that's going to work. Good. Oh, X-Wing, what is this stream? There are so many things to talk about, but Jason's here, and if you ever watch Making Star Wars, which you should, you watch his live streams. Who knows? Who knows what this is? Yeah,
nobody knows. I just do what I want.
That's pretty much it. So, no, I do want to talk about this tweet, and it was in Meg's update this morning. Patty Jenkins patties. There you go. Sheep. Oh, very good, sheep. Yeah. So here we have the Star Wars account on Twitter, and they tweeted out, "Witness the rise of Boba Fett and Fennec Shand." I thought that was an interesting pairing, that they talk about the rise of Boba and Fennec, not just the rise of Boba Fett with Fennec Shand, but rather the rise of Boba and Fennec. So that makes me happy. I love Fennec Shand. She's quickly becoming one of my favorites in the Star Wars universe, and to see that she's coming up on the rise with Boba Fett is exciting to me.
Yeah, to me, it makes me think somebody at Disney was like, I don't know if everybody's going to like him that much. Yeah, I think maybe we should say and Fennec Shand too. They're like, yeah, we should do that.
You think so?
Probably.
Well, I don't know. Fennec, I absolutely love her.
Oh, she's great. I'm with you. I mean, yeah, she's great. I'm glad it does say that though.
Yeah. And then we saw also, and Meg pointed this out, that it's 7 episodes. There were rumors of 8 or potentially 9, but we see here confirmation 7 episodes, which puts us 6 weeks into 2022, mid-February instead of the end of February, and because the first episode, of course, is 1 month from today,
right?
December 29th, and so 7 episodes, 1 in 2021, 7 in 2022, mid-February, with some of the other.
Sorry. What I was going to say, what was the comedy of this is that I believe there were supposed to be 6 episodes of this originally.
Oh.
And 6 of Obi-Wan. And because they were taking the film script outlines and in Kenobi's case, the actual script, and converting each act into 2 episodes. And Boba actually grew by 1 when they were saying it was 8 at first. I was like, oh, they must just be going with a Mando even 8 in the end, and they just elongated it. But now we got 7. So I think we're actually getting more than we were supposed to originally. But this morning, people think they're getting less. It's strange. It's funny.
It is funny based on what your expectation and your hopes are. And Daryl, I'm going to have to report you to Coach for some no-nos. That's I got to highlight that. Coach needs to give Daryl some no-nos for that one.
Can't a man and a woman just work together as friends, overtaking a criminal underworld on Tatooine in 2022? Come on.
So anyway, I think this is really, really exciting. And the little teaser we got today did have a couple of other points in it. I'm going to mute it. just because I don't think you guys can hear it anyway. But a lot of this is reused footage. So I'm Boba Fett.
Boba Fett.
And then there's this bit here
Yep.
with the Tuscans, and this is what Meg kind of speculated on, is that maybe it's the Tuscans that rescued Boba from the first place, and this scene could be indication we're going to get some flashbacks.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so too. I think in the other one too, we saw in the Slave One video, we saw him in his robes from the earlier parts of Mando, right? And getting Slave One back probably. So I think we're going to start before Mando and go sideways to Mando and then go beyond Mando season 2.
Nice.
That's
nice.
what I think.
Oh, very good. I like that. And who knows? That's responsible speculation. Very good. Very good. And so then we get, this is the other big takeaway that people are seeing, because if you saw some of the other screenshots from other, trailers that we have, it looked like Boba was in better shape than he was in season 2 of Mando. Like the scars weren't as pronounced, like all of that damage looked like to be reduced. And he was looking really good, really good. So this would confirm that maybe he's been taking some Bacta treatments since taking over Jabba's palace. And John 42, Polynesian Bacta spa.
We were talking about when the first trailer hit that it looked like he had a Michael Jackson style hyperbolic whatever chamber by his bed, or that he was sleeping in either for protection or for rehabilitation. And I think this is probably confirmation that's what that is. And I'm also hoping that at one point in the show, like everything looks really bad, and then his Tuscan brothers and sisters pop out of the sand, like, and they help him at the end, because that's when you own Tatooine, when the Tuscans are working for you, and the criminal underworld. That's my takeaway.
True. And then there was this question, Chimera. Do you think Bosk was in this trailer, or in the previous one? I don't think so. I mean, I saw some Trandoshans, but not Transdoshans, which is a whole different thing. They're
different.
Trandoshans.
Yeah.
Trandoshans. They're not like Jawas who identify as Trandoshans, so they're Transdoshans, right? They're actually Trandoshans, right? So just natural Trandoshans, no. But
right.
I don't think I saw Bosk as a member of that.
So someone had a theory in my chat the other day that when I think it was Red 5 had a theory in my chat where when all of the guys are at the table eating in that last one, he thinks that's above the Rancor pit, and that Boba's gonna like pull the thing and they're all gonna fall from in the table into the Rancor pit.
Gotcha.
Wouldn't that be rad?
Maybe it would be cool.
That'd be a good way
cool.
to end that dinner.
Yeah. Don't let them cancel you now. I know. I went down a rabbit hole there. Maybe I shouldn't have gone down. But this room seems to show up several times. It was in that picture, the photo. You could tell because the markings on the wall, like the how it's the walls, the pattern on it, and you saw them kind of off center, and where this room comes out, it continues on off the other side. So. And there's a lot of speculation about what's in there, what's not in there. But this is again, and this is very similar to where you were just talking about too, where they were having that dinner. Like there's a long table in here, but now there's a chair in there. And then in the other scene, there's nothing in there. So it's a multi-purpose room, right?
Yeah.
It's like the cafetorium at the school. So hard to say. The idea of the Ithorian as a crime lord, yes, very, very good. I think that's the case as well. So
yeah, they always seem so like chill and nice. You wouldn't think one would go down that path of crime, but
And here you've got it looks like a servant type Twi'lek over here, and this is definitely Boba, right? You
Yeah.
can see his shoulder pad there. They're having a little chat. So let's let that go on. And oops, it kind of went fast there for a second. There's Boba and Fennec coming in, making their presence known. Coming in, he's already armed, and she's reaching across to pull out her blaster there. Really good.
I wonder how many times they had to film that with that rangefinder getting caught in that curtain.
Yeah.
Realistically.
No, that's a good point. I didn't even think about that. You see that sticking up there, and you're like, doink. I would love to.
Pulls off.
Flashbacks to A New Hope with the stormtrooper hitting the door, right?
Yeah.
Like, how many times did Boba walk under there and that thing get caught and just doink? I would do anything for outtakes showing that.
There's got to be some pretty good ones, because wearing that thing can't be easy.
Yes. Yeah. This is X-Wing. This is from Meg's Cantina. I've got the link to it in the description here, and huge thanks to Meg for letting me use her Hoth ambience for the background music. So appreciate
Good job, Meg. Good job.
She does a really good job. Again, we've seen this scene. Now this is what Meg kind of built on as well. So you can see 1, 2, 3, and the start of a 4th speeder.
Yeah.
There's one person there, 2 here. That's 3. 1 there, 4, and whoever's back here, right? It kind of flashes by quickly, but so we've got at least a few folks going through there, and very reminiscent of Mando season 2, where we saw him going ham on the stormtroopers. But here he's got a bit of a shock stick of some sort, right?
Yeah.
Like when it comes
And
down.
look at that face. I love it.
No, it's fantastic.
Yeah.
It's fantastic. So I think that, and again, this iconic scene, which is great. By the way, next year, 2022, we'll be giving away the Hot Toys, right? Sideshow collectibles, Hot Toys of this scene, where you've got Boba sitting on Jabba's throne, and that comes in one set, and then we're waiting for the release of Fennec with the Hot Toys Sideshow collectible that it's already built to add that on. We'll be giving away this entire scene to one of our Elite Squad members. So the only requirement there is that you have to be a member for at least 6 months at the time of the giveaway.
And when you get them, you have to make them kiss.
No.
I love you, Fennec Shand. And you have to do it. You have to.
Oh my goodness! The Red Key Raiders. I heard you talking about it in the other one, and I'll flip over to that one here in just a moment. Let's let this kind of finish itself out there. So that's there here in this shot as it's opening. You had speculated that this is Fennec with a Red Key Raider.
It's either an X-Wing pilot or a B-Wing pilot, which I highly doubt, or one of those Red Key Raider dudes.
And if you
assuming they're Red Key Raiders, right?
Exactly. I agree with you and Meg. Meg, by the way, has been saying that those are the Red Key Raiders from the Aftermath novels. And if we actually make it to today's topic, we'll see if we make it there.
Well, in the I think she's totally right, because in the Mando season 2, those guys are pretending to be the Red Key miners. So they like show up pretending to be the Red Key mining company, but they're Red Key Raiders. Like, we're not really here to mine. We're here to rob, Mos Pelgo.
Which, by the way, I think you also, and we'll let this go just a minute, but if you look at this, you can see that whoever's being led has their hands tied together and wrapped with like a chain, and the other person is leading. So you kind of got to really, really look, but you can see that that's what's going on there. And so if this is Fennec, and this is whoever she's bringing in, right?
Right. She brought him in hot. She didn't bring him in cold. That's
Right.
the point.
Right.
No, I keep saying that to my kids every morning when I wake them up. I could bring you in hot. I could bring you in cold. So they hate it.
Which makes it all the better.
Mm-hmm.
My girls are just now learning why we tortured them so much as parents is because of how much fun it is. My oldest daughter is a teacher in a local school district, and she's like, "Dad, I never realized how much fun it was." So her poor students have to deal with this sense of humor that she's been inflicted with. But it's great. Oh, let me mute this here.
But I love that. I love seeing Jabba's palace again, like in a new way is really fun for me. Like just seeing somebody walk down a new shot of somebody walking down that entryway is I like that kind of nostalgia a lot. What did it say?
X-Wing, the Red Key Raider leader will say, "You will loosen these restraints." He's being naughty. X-Wing's being naughty in the chat. Of course, that's the general characteristic of my chats. And I blame Meg. Credit, blame, whichever word you like better.
Yeah.
It's funny. They've been talking about having Mrs. Claus police the chat. You guys don't want that. Trust me. You don't want that. But this is where you were kind of speculating. Again, maybe these are Red Key Raiders, and this could be Mos Pelgo.
It could be. But the reason why I think maybe it is, or something like it, or somewhere different, is because when we see the Ithorian, that little like print that you see on the wall of the Ithorian's place.
Yes.
That little like squiggly line kind of, I don't know what you call that pattern. Well, I saw the assets down there down in El Segundo when they were filming those, and the tops of all of the buildings had that trim about them.
Oh.
On the top. So I don't know if that's only when we get to the Ithorian's courtyard or whatever that we get that, or if it's throughout it. But
and Novak, there you go. Thank you for the super chat, Novak, for saying a shiny new Boba Fett red spats.
You need them.
I'm not a fan of the red spats.
You will be, Santa. You will be once you get them on, and you're like, oh, I feel good right now. You'll start talking like that. It'll work. Ho ho ho.
You will be. Oh my goodness, it's hilarious. Barry's Finnick next to Luke's hut with the lightsaber. Oh, X-Wing's really misbehaving. He's getting even for the super chat I gave him to go get one of those yellow lightsabers that he and Meg are so fond of. But again, here's the scene of the palace with you can see this small little figure here coming up, and this is where I think Josh Lucas at Den of Nerds kind of zoomed in on that, and you can kind of see two spots there, and that it very well could be Luke and Grogu right there on that path. This is what that could be. Again, that's complete speculation, but who knows? Oh my goodness. So I'll let this go because this does get to the part that you were talking about. This.
I love that shot. That's so nice.
Right. This very well could be Mos Pelga.
Or it could be Mos Espa. Mos
Espa.
Mos Espa is what I'm thinking, actually.
Yeah.
Because what's his name? Jon Favreau confirmed that we're to Empire Magazine that we're going to be seeing Mos Espa return. And my fan theory, my guess, is that if this is the pod race track, because when you see it in the other trailer, it looks like the pod race canyon where Anakin drops down and flies through. Yeah. And I'm thinking that Mos Espa has had sort of an urban sprawl over the last 50, 60 years, however long, or not. No, it's been like 25 years or something. So maybe it's grown into the pod race track now as the city's expanded.
I love that thought. Let me back up and see if we can get that wider view. Or is that later?
I think it was actually, I think we see it in the trailer in the
Oh, in the
actual
original
in
trailer.
the original 2-minute trailer.
I
We
gotcha.
see some of the city. I think this is another extension of that shot or of that setting, anyways.
Yeah, and there's the fire spray that you had mentioned. No, I'm saying that because they're I'm playing off the chat. No, that's our that's the slave one right there. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that is the slave one,
Hey,
and the outfit. The outfit looks like it's what he wears before he gets the armor back, correct?
it does. And Black Angus Reviews, good to see you. Oh, thank you, sir, for stopping in. So yeah, here's the yeah, you can see the slave one. Here's Fennec, and I think that's Fennec. At least it kind of
I think
looks
so
like.
too. Yeah, I think so.
And over here, you do see Boba in uh, the pre armor, right?
Yeah,
So it kind of gives a little bit of a backstory of Boba Fett getting the Slave One.
so, do you think this is Jabba's palace and it's been there the whole time? And if so, does that make sense?
Good questions. Very, very good questions. I think it is. I think
Yeah,
it's Jabba's palace. It's a
it looks like it's
garage.
yeah.
Yeah.
You
And
don't think Bib Fortuna ever got in it and took it around, flying around, being I'm Boba Fett, A Wonka. No,
oh, Meg, who says that Fortuna didn't know? Like Jason say, maybe he was out doing joyrides in the
doing
Slave One.
donuts.
You don't know.
Bib Fortuna could have been a super cool guy. You just never got to know him. Just saying.
Right. That's right. That's right. Yeah. Well. Yeah. Nobody in the chat. The chat is always.
Just it was the password was 1138. If anybody ever loses their ATM card at Celebration and you want to just take all the money out of the account, the password, the pin is 1138 every time. Watch.
So I am going to slow this down because
Ooh.
here was the dinner scene that you were talking about. Of
Rancor
course,
pit. I hope they go in the Rancor pit. That's what I want.
and so here's again where I think maybe that throne is right behind Boba here,
Yeah.
and this is that it's that same room. It's like I said, it's the cafetorium. They've got-
It's the Athorian's place, right? And not
Yeah.
Boba's. Okay.
Yeah, I think it is. I think it's the Thorian's
I-
place. Here's this table with the vase on it that you saw before. I
Oh,
think his-
Grandpa's ashes are in there. Yeah, we miss them. We all miss them.
yes, yeah. Bib got too chunky to do his daily exercises.
Well, he keeps going to these dinners. I mean, what do you want?
Right? So, yeah, I think this is the Thorian's place. His throne is right behind here. We do see some Trandoshans. There, I did it again. Every time. We see some Trandoshans here in the foreground.
Santa always tells me that Trandoshan lives matter. So don't jump on him. He tells me.
Transdoshan lives matter.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they do. They do. All lives matter. No. I didn't mean to say that. No,
oh,
oops,
Jason.
no, I didn't mean to say that. I didn't mean to say that.
You are officially canceled now.
I'm kidding. I'm playing a character.
Oh my god! And there's
Ooh.
Finnick taking it out. I look at Ming-Na Wen's like concentration. Her, I mean, she's
Pretty fierce.
extremely fierce. I love her.
Yeah.
She's fantastic.
Well, that's why I keep saying I keep thinking that it like is this going to, are they gonna stay together as comrades by the end of this, or is she playing a long game in the end? Because it's the criminal underworld, like Han Solo and Kira. They didn't work out. Like in the end, she was like, I got to do what I got to do because this is what this is about. And I keep wondering if the rise of Fennec is going to be by the end of this. Because look at her. I mean, she's fighting for something right there, and I don't think it's her buddy because he has a rocket pack and give her a new tummy. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I keep wondering.
Oh, Meg.
Oh.
Oh, this is great. So yeah, that's going back to the original trailer. I wanted to get to that scene you were talking about that might be Mos Espa.
Yeah,
Can you
look at that old,
see?
look at old the Bomar monk walking. He's like, "Hey, remember that time you had to get Star Wars Insider to get my toy when you were
Right.
16, like a dummy?"
So
Yeah, that's it. That's in El Segundo. I saw that set right there. You can see like the tops of the building have that pattern.
right,
I
right.
believe
Oh,
that's
here
the
we
shot.
go. I want to go here. So
There's
let me go
yeah,
back just
right
one
there.
second.
See right there?
Yeah, hold on
Yeah,
one second. I want to stop it here because I think that's the room where they're having the big dinner.
yeah,
I
yeah.
think. I think that's happening out
Right
in
there, right
front of
there's
me.
Grandpa's ashes right there that you
Yeah.
pointed out.
Right, right. Grandpa's ashes in the vase there off to the
Yeah.
side. So I think that's what that is. I'm not exactly sure, but
Grandpa was Snaggletooth, in case you guys didn't know. It was
so so
so
here
right
you go.
there. Isn't that it right there? Like that little opening? Is that where little Anakin goes out of the
Comes
canyon?
right through here.
Yeah.
It absolutely could be, and where they were kind of stationed up here on the top. Right,
Might
this
be
is
some
where
Tuscans shooting down from there. I don't know.
yeah, Tuscans up here now. But the only issue is that don't we see that same shot in Mandalorian when they visit? You see the Tuscans like up there, and you see the bones of one of the uh, big elephant creatures.
Kenny Baker. Um, no. I'm just guessing now. I don't know.
Bantha,
Santa.
right? You see a bantha up there, the bones up there, and it kind of looks like that's the same overlook. So,
Yeah,
I,
maybe.
I like your theory, but I don't know that it matches with what we saw before because this looks extremely developed. You
Yeah.
can
Oh
see it
yeah.
going way back off to the sides there, and this big market down in here.
Right.
Very interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we do have, I mean, for what it's worth, though, we have like, it is what, 20 years or 30 years but for that to happen, right? Phantom Menace to Return of the Jedi is like 30 years, 35 years. I'm gonna stick to my theory and be super mad and hate the show when it comes out when it's not true.
They retconned Mendo, you know.
Why did Favreau have the guts to follow through? You know, come on, bro.
Oh my goodness. So yeah, I love the thought that that's what it could be, but I'm not so sure.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
and then hold on, I think I saw that other where we saw him come through the curtains. I right here. Now that's inside the room. They're getting ready to have a.
Meg's music playing with this and all in slow motion makes me feel like I'm at Boba Fett's funeral right now.
Oh, it's so good.
Man, he was such a good man. He really was always there for me.
And so this is what we were talking about before, where he looks a lot more healed than he
Yeah.
did in Mando season 2, and we saw the Bacta tank. So apparently he's going through some Bacta treatments in between.
Yeah.
Right.
He's got his eyes done. He's got his lips done. He's
Yeah,
yeah.
got a little plastic surgery then there. Yeah.
Yeah. Beverly Hills Boba. Wait for it.
And before we get on to our main topic, for whatever time we get left, the Rancor here is still in trouble. We're down to
Oh no.
yeah, we're still down to about a week left, and they're just above halfway towards the target, let alone the unlocks. So I mean, to get all of the unlocks, they've got to get up over let's see, 19,000 backers. 19,000.
Classically, how many people come in towards the back end at the last moment and start jumping on? Do you know?
A good bit. I mean, it will jump.
Yeah.
But well, in the past they do right before the cutoff, within the last week. Within these next few days, it should trend upward. That's something to watch because exactly. Mark's right. In the last day or so, the numbers will fly up.
Okay.
But we'll see. This is sort of unprecedented because it dropped for so long, and that
Right.
they released all of the tiers even before the first level was backed, before the project was backed. Normally they kind of hold off those tiers and then they release them
And like sweeten
as
the
you go.
deal, like make it
Right.
like, yeah, that's smarter.
Right, you reach the 9,000 and they have a big thing to celebrate. Hey, it's been back. Let's show you the tier 1. And then boom, as soon as you reach that tier 1 target, they kind of leading you along, right? The carrot out front. So you're kind of
Right.
chasing after it. And it kind of gets that momentum going. And then on that last day, you'll see it. Typically, it's already past well, at least with the last couple projects. And if you go over and look at how they're doing with the Ghostbusters Proton Pack, that thing is just, taking off. Where
Yeah.
this one hasn't even met tier 1, and it's down to 7.5 days to go.
How excited for this one, or how bad do you want this one? Are you gonna be super disappointed if it doesn't happen?
No,
No.
no.
Okay.
Here's the thing about it is it's $350, right? $350, and that includes all the unlocks. So if you think about these unlocks that are coming, and they're going to be released as individually carded, except for maybe the bones here. But
Yeah.
you're gonna get all of these carded figures loose, right? So it's say $30 each, 25, $20 each, somewhere in that ballpark. So if you take those three, you're paying about $300 for the Rancor itself, with the bones and the cardboard back. And people are saying, I don't need to pay $300 for that. I'll pay the $50 and get these carded figures, and
Yeah.
I'm good, you know.
Yeah.
Which that Luke Skywalker one, by the way, is fantastic. It's completely new, and we have a Salacious Crumb is already included in another pack. It's already out. You can already get this figure, but not individually carded. So
Was
don't
that
post
a
collectors
San Diego
about
Comic Con one? Is that how he was originally released, or?
that. No, this is somewhat recent.
Okay.
Somewhat recent. And then we have this brand new Luke Skywalker. It's been completely redone. It's a really good looking figure, but people will just go ahead and get it.
Yeah, yeah. That's always been my favorite non R2D2 Star Wars figure. Is that carded Luke Jedi? That's like that's my nostalgia. That hits me where I'm almost like I want to throw down and get it, but
Yeah. Well,
No.
this is going to be very nice, but I think people are saying I don't need to pay $300 for this giant. I mean, this thing is huge.
yeah.
And that's something else to consider. Look, it's
Look
27
at its arms
inches
though.
tall,
Look at its arms. Look at it go.
42 inches across.
Santa,
huge.
hug me. Give me a hug, Santa. Look at him. He's like, please back me, Santa.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
big ol' hug. That's what it looks like.
So, yeah, and Mark's making a point about the Salacious Crumb one is coming down, but well, right now to get it is really expensive. So getting a new one on a card will make it compete and help bring the cost down. But it is something that folks want. But this is a big piece of plastic to put on your shelf, right?
Sure.
And $300 is a lot to put in, and you're not getting a Rancor keeper. You're
Yeah.
not getting Ula, which I kind of guessed we weren't going to get Ula to begin with, but yeah, it's just not happening.
Yeah.
I think this thing needing to get another 15,000 to unlock all the figures is highly unlikely. If it even makes 9,000 at this point is a question mark in my head. I'm not exactly sure.
Yeah.
So there's that. So I do want to at least get started on this topic that we have for today. And this is something I think we're going to have to go typical Jason Ward style into multiple episodes to break down. Because this Wikipedia article, again, Wikipedia gets its fair share of criticisms, but the more people that contribute to an article, the more accurate they've been proven to be. And so this article here has over 200 references in it. It's been contributed to quite strongly, and there are some interesting points in here. So I kind of want to get past the intro, which is just about the sequel trilogy as we know it. Well, no, I think we could go all the way. No, let's start. I take it back. I think we can start all the way at the top because Green Bear, the article is hurting my eyes. Okay. Yeah, Meg, 40 minutes in. Okay, let's get started. I know I blame Jason.
I blame Boba taking a bath.
yeah. So here we go. Let's make this a little easier for folks to read. I highlighted Ryan Johnson. That'll get people triggered right away.
Makes my blood boil.
It says it's the third trilogy, blah, blah, blah. And it says here, the Skywalker saga. Lucas had planned a sequel trilogy as early as 1976, which is just before, of course, A New Hope or Star Wars was released. Yeah. And this really does go a nice chronological. And as we know with George, he changes his mind, right? Like,
well, there's a video that was given to Kenner investors in 1978, I want to say. And it's called, I think it was 78, and it's called Star Wars is Forever. And in that video, you can find it. I wanted to bring it for today, but we got all sidetracked stuff. But he goes and, or in it, that video says that they're going to make 12 movies. And right. That's what they're promising. And I think that combined with what he wrote to the guys in Lost, the guys who did Lost, when Lost was done, he wrote them a nice letter going, hey, I just made it up as I went too. Good job. And in that, and I think it was always about flexing and seeming like there was a strong brand here. It was about brand appearance and the strength behind it. It would be great if they made 12. Wouldn't that be awesome? But I don't think there was honestly, truly a plan other than, well, we could do this, but I don't think it was that deep.
Well, and I agree with you. And George is always good at retconning himself.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't say that. Except you did. Right? Like,
yeah.
I didn't mean it that. I was just joking. You guys took it way too serious. Like, that's not what I really meant.
Hey, do you want to go out? I'm only joking unless you say yes. Like, that's kind of like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So he says he canceled in 81, but then you see it keeps coming back up. It says the sequel trilogy. This is sort of a high level deal when it came back up during the sale to Disney. But they do a nice job of going all the way back to the beginning and kind of following. Here we go. So this kind of gets into what you were talking about. Where as we start to break down like the chronology of how this came about and how things changed over time. So yeah. Mark Hamill in 76 says Lucas. So again, that goes back to the very top of the article where it says in 76 as early as. Here we get a little more detailed. Mark says that George told him there were 3 or 4 Star Wars trilogies. 4 times 3 is 12. There's your 12. and Lucas suggested Hamill could have a cameo role in episode 9, which he had planned on filming by 2011. Well, again, things change, right? Things just change.
Well, and one other thing is that we've seen Lucas's outlines for what the movies that he actually had planned kind of were.
Yeah.
And like what his ideas before the Disney acquisition, he had the Han Solo movie and the Boba Fett movie as ideas. But before that, it was esoteric stuff. Like one of them was like a Wookiee movie, like a Jane Goodall style movie with
Right.
Wookiee. It was yeah,
exactly. And Will Morgan's right? Like we remember that it was about a volcano and like things changed, and those memories and ideas were planted in our heads a long time ago. But
Star Wars poster book is why. The Star Wars poster book was the very first printing of anything like that, where somebody at Lucasfilm was just literally telling I think it might have been called Black Falcon at the time, which was the licensing output for Lucasfilm back then, and they were just straight up like dropping the stormtroopers are clones, a fight on a volcano and stuff that became like Star Wars lore that was silenced after that. It's kind of insane. Find those if you can and read them. They're crazy.
Oh yeah, Hawk's Holocrons. I love the typo, and I don't know if this is voice to text or if it just did character replacement. Hamill could easily have a camel role with his voice acting. He does have his like Twitter thing. He'll always put Mark and then the camel emoji. Right? Mark Hamill. So Mark Camel.
As a kid, no, I mean I know it's like a joke, but as a kid, the very first time I heard Mark Hamill, I thought they were saying Mark Camel. I'm all, really? It's Camel? Like the cigarettes? And they're like, no, Hamill.
And Reefer Man's giving me a hard time here. Yeah, Meg's in the chat, so you guys have the real Meg is in the chat.
Watch out! She's always watching.
She is, and stirring up trouble.
Yeah,
That's good.
I said something really nice about Meg on my show the other day, and I got this guy in the chat going like, accusing Meg of paying me. Of to sponsor the show, but not joking. Yeah, it's pretty fun.
Meg is now paying for ads to run on other channels
on my little tiny baby channel, when her channel's like huge. I was like, you're crazy.
Yeah. No, that's not how this works.
It should be the other way. It should go the other way. I should be paying Meg to mention me on her show.
Exactly. Or just to come in the chat and stir up trouble. Like, she should be getting revenue. Oh, my goodness. So you see, a Time magazine story in 1978 quoted Lucas saying there were 10 more movies after The Empire Strikes Back. Wow. So you had 12 movies there, just starting with Empire or starting with New Hope, right? So, that's a lot, right? It says that A New Hope was going to be beginning, and you just kind of see where George's plans evolved over time, right? This was the very beginning. 77, A New Hope comes out, it blows up, right? It's the biggest thing on the planet. 1978.
And we have to contextualize what was going on, is that George Lucas is trying to make Empire Strikes Back with his own cash. He's taking a $30 million loan from Bank of America to George Lucas. That is stress. But he has procured the rights to products at this time that he gets all the profits of. None of that goes to Fox. So he had to start this idea of the sequel trilogy and a prequel trilogy. And I think he got into the prequel trilogy by Return of the Jedi because he had to write that backstory. But at that point, I think this was just, like I said, I still think it's a flex the whole time.
Yeah, and I tend to lean your direction there. He does talk a little bit about, he had real thin, I think a real thin kind of arc, right? And it does, and we'll see that here. It does go back to talk a little bit about the pre-story about Anakin and turning to Vader. And that comes up later in this article. And it says, so Gary Kurtz, the producer of the first two films, was aware of the proposed story elements for episodes 7 to 9 before 1980. So in the late 70s, again, 77, 78, that could have been again, like a flex, right? He's
Yeah.
just kind of got an idea this is where it would go. Because we do see that it evolves and changes quite a bit as it goes through here.
And I wouldn't be and it wouldn't surprise me at the same time too if you had like because Kurtz was one of the people who post Star Wars would drop so much of what it was supposed to be and what their dreams were and stuff like that. And it might have been two guys during work, during editing, after work, having pizza, talking about what the work is, and then dreaming about what this could be. And like Lucas dropping his random ideas out and to stick up for Lucas a little bit in all of this too, it's like when you're doing a creative endeavor, there's all kinds of forks in the road to take. Depending on where you're at, you may say, oh, you said it was going to be this, but he may have had 4 other ideas too, and we only know about 2 of them.
Well, I love what you're saying. Like, and I think we've all kind of, when you get in dream mode, like if I won the lottery kind of thing, you can also come up with ideas of what you would do. And then over time, those things evolve just as you evolve. Right?
Or Mrs. Santa might say that you guys were going to go buy a house in Europe and run a vineyard, but you're telling me we're going to go on an African safari. And I'm like, nah, he said African safari with that money, and we were going to bring beer. It was going to be cool. Like, right. It's just, you know what I mean? It's
exactly. And so, and here we get again another glimpse at the time of the release of Empire. So, 1980, Lucas said there were 7 more. So at one point, there were 12, right? So now 7 plus 3, right? Empire being the third. You're down to 10.
Yeah.
We were at 12. Now we're down to 10. He's got 7 more in his head. Again, just in an outline. And he said he had 12-page outlines for those films. In an interview with Jim Steranko in Purview magazine in 1980, Lucas described how expansive scope had started with an overlong screenplay. So here we go. Here's a nice breakdown of like what he had in his head. Was he started with a screenplay and how it ended up being the original trilogy that we got.
And we know that's a little bit of horse poop, to say it nicely, to an degree, because all of those scripts are out and you could read them and you could see certain scenes like there's one moment with Anakin Starkiller and Dean and Kane Starkiller, and where it's clearly the Darth Maul sequence where we're with Qui-Gon and Anakin and him running for the ship. But it doesn't really constitute that much of those ideas. It's so loose.
It really is. And that's what I kind of want to reinforce as we talk about this, is that George, his outlines were never going to be what you were going to see.
Yeah.
There was no chance of it. Because you can just see, and again, I'm not a filmmaker. I didn't go to film school. I didn't, that's not what I've been about. I've not been in the weeds. I can only infer from what I can read and what I can see through the history of how these things go. And as you mentioned, I've read a lot of those original scripts, and what the original script ended up being, by the time it got on film, is far different than what you originally read. And there's a great somebody took the time to build some like graphic novels of the original scripts that are great, and I've seen Star Wars Theory cover a lot of them.
Dark Horse did an official adaptation that J.W. Rinsler oversaw, and I have to recommend that over reading the scripts. The scripts barely flow. They barely make sense. And it's not until Lucas takes that script and puts it on the chassis or the structure of the Hidden Fortress that you get A New Hope.
Excellent. And I agree with you. Somebody's been taking the sequel script from what is Rise, episode 9. The original, and they're creating comics of those, much in the same vein, where they take what is a script, and scripts don't necessarily read well. They're tough to just to pull a story out. You kind of got to fill it in. And what they're doing in these is they're visualizing those, and they're bringing them to life. And again, Star Wars Theory did an excellent job of covering a lot of these, like Luke Star Killer kind of things. And you can read that in the Dark Horse comics and get an idea of where it started versus what we got.
And one of the things is, like, in that era of script writing, like George Lucas very much subscribes to the auteur theory of filmmaking, where the director kind of rules his film, or at least, or their film, and is supposed to. So those scripts will oftentimes be very, very naked almost. It'll be like a bare bones idea with dialogue, because the script shouldn't tell you how to direct. And even Steven Spielberg, if you ever read a script for Spielberg, if you want that script to be made, you don't tell Spielberg how to direct in his script. And so they don't read well. Some scripts will tell a director how to direct, and they're very nice reads. but Lucas subscribes to that kind of side of things, and you're like, most of this barely makes any sense.
Meg is exaggerating a bit, but she does know that I truly do love Rey, her character, and the sequels, but that does not exist, Meg. She's yeah. I knew that word was going to wake somebody up. There you go. No, you're right. Like, I've read scripts before. I don't enjoy it. I don't enjoy reading scripts. I don't have the ability to kind of make the connective threads, and it's tough for me to read. But here you go. George Lucas says, I took the screenplay, divided into 3 stories. We've heard this before. This isn't new. Rewrote the first one. So again, he had an original screenplay. He rewrote the first part of it. And then he had the other 2 films, which are essentially split into 3 parts each, 2 trilogies. So 6. Like, I'm confused. I'm trying to add. You have one that ended up being rewritten, and then you've got 6 more that are 2 trilogies. So that's a 7. We're down from 12 to 10 to 7, right?
Yeah, and this is mostly just gibberish. I mean, like when you read it, it's like literally like Kane Starkiller is this guy, and it's like the prequel era, and he is more man than machine. He's the dad. He's like, son, I've become more robot than man. Like, opens his chest, and there's like fluid spilling out, and he's got a robot arm, and he's dying. And then Anakin goes to like the Senate, and there's like all these politicians, and he meets Leia, pinches her butt, by the way. That's not me making. That's not. He literally, it says pinches her ass. Pinches Leia's ass, and then they go off on the adventure from there. That's the prequels, you guys. That's the prequels in '77, as George Lucas saw it.
Yeah,
that's it.
It's crazy. He says, when the smoke cleared, I said, this is great. I'll do another trilogy that takes place after this. So,
and sorry, really quickly.
Go ahead.
John says, just finished Colin Trevorrow's Duel of the Fates script and had no problem following it. Yeah. His script is completely different than a George Lucas script, by the way. Like his is like, and then the coolest thing ever happens, and it's totally rad. Like, because they have their own notes to themselves in there. Yeah. Like because it's for the director. Lucas's thing, not like that. No. Totally different, in my opinion.
Yeah, I've read some, and they're different. Right?
Yeah.
It's just not for me. I prefer this kind of the novel kind of storytelling where you get the fully fleshed out story. I'm not a script reader. I'm more of a story reader. That's just me.
Sure. Yeah.
So he says, I'll do another trilogy that takes place after this. So in his mind at the time, he was thinking he was going to do a sequel trilogy. Let's, again, just kind of plant how the chronology plays out, because he says, I had 3 trilogies of 9 films. I think he means 3 trilogies that adds up to
369. Yeah,
369, and another couple of odd films.
The Wookiee film.
Right.
That's really what it is.
Yeah. And here's where we find out where he says, okay, It has a beginning, middle, and end. And the first trilogy he did was the middle, right? It progresses over a period of about 50 to 60 years, about 20 years between trilogies, each trilogy taking 6 to 7 years, which is interesting because that may be the case with the original trilogy, but the prequels are not over 6 or 7 years. There's like 6 years in between Phantom Menace and
Or 10 years, isn't it? Isn't it 10 years
yeah,
between
right.
Attack of the Clones and Phantom Menace? Yeah.
Right. So it's a bigger time gap than that. So I'm looking at the time. We may need to let's see. Let's get down to this cancellation period, and then we'll call it a day. Because
Okay.
I know you've got to get your show ready. You've got to get going. But so I want to go on. By the time of Episode 5, The Empire Strikes Back, Lucas had written story treatments for all 9 Star Wars episodes. So again, in the early 80s, he had story treatments for all 9. And I think that
Yeah.
goes back to sort of that 12-page kind of thing that he had.
Yeah.
In 99, Kurtz
That
revealed
that's
a brief
being
outline.
kind. I still think that's being kind.
And here are this is what Kurtz revealed about those story treatments, right?
Yeah.
Episode 1, Mythology of the Jedi.
Oh, the
Methodology.
method. So midi-chlorians. Really? That's
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Episode 2, the backstory of Obi-Wan. Episode 3, explain the rise of Darth Vader. And then 4 we saw, 5 we saw, 6. At the time, 5 was filmed, right? 6 wasn't yet filmed. It was, and this is fascinating to me because it's one of if you go back and read the script, you see that this was Lilith. I think that's her name.
Nelith was the long lost sister of Luke Skywalker.
Right. So
Yeah.
Leia was not his sister. Nelith was his sister.
Yeah.
They ended up taking Nelith and rolling her into Leia later.
Right.
But at the time Episode 5 was filmed, that was still sort of the outline. Nelith was the long lost sister, and you see it's an isolated monarch. It says here is Leia as an isolated monarch. I think they're trying to get the average person to understand like his sister. Nelith was his sister. Nelith was an isolated monarch.
And I also want to throw in there that there's always a chance too that Nelith was kind of just a Lee Brackett idea. Like we don't even actually truly have anything about Lucas talking about that idea of Nelith. I don't think.
But you can read it.
Yeah. But Lee Brackett, right, is the
Yeah.
one who wrote that stuff. I believe.
I'm not sure. I'm
Yeah.
not sure. I don't know that much about that specifically. So in Episode 6, Han died. Luke is showing down. It says, and Luke showing down with Vader before exiling himself. Luke exiling himself happens at the end of Episode 6. Again, this is back when 5 was filmed and written. This is supposedly what the outline was. Luke and Leia were not related, and Nelith was his sister, who was the monarch. So again, gotta go back out to that. Episode 7, so what we know as Force Awakens, but anyhow, 7 was continuing the story of Luke as a Jedi. Episode 8 features Luke's sister, Nelith, unique from Leia.
Right.
And Episode 9 would introduce the Emperor and depict Luke's ultimate battle with him, which ended up happening in 6.
And it should be noted that by the time before Empire Strikes Back was even finished, Gary Kurtz was fired, replaced on Empire Strikes Back by Howard Kazanjian. So he wasn't even there to see see Empire Strikes Back Empire finished for what it's worth. So if you're going to take Gary Kurtz as a primary source, that's always something to consider. That he didn't know what the end game was actually, even by the end of Empire.
That's important too, because there's been some recent stories come out from Kurtz, and people are putting a lot of weight in it. And you have to remember who he is, what he was doing, and where he fits in. Yeah, he was central in all of this.
I love him, but he was a bad producer. He made good films, but he was a very bad producer. Like he did not take into consideration things like inflation and budgeted all of Empire based off of the money in 1975. But if you know anything about the economics of the 70s, stagflation was something that they could not stop talking about in the news everywhere. Just go into the New York Times and Google that, and you will see it. Him to have made that mistake is colossally dumb, honestly. And I love the guy. I'm not trying to I really think that he really helped make Star Wars great, but not good at producing.
Good point. I kind of forgot about the stagflation deal, but that was a very real thing. Long lines to get gas, and all kinds of problems. Inflation, stagflation.
It ended Jimmy Carter's presidency. It led to it was this is no esoteric small thing. This was
it's real.
National daily news for the decade.
Exactly, and not factoring in costs is not good.
Yeah,
not good as a producer. So in the late 80s, Lucas stated he had titles and 10-page story outlines for each of the 9 episodes. So 90 pages of documents. Again, maybe he did, maybe he didn't. Maybe
we definitely know he didn't, because the Star Wars archives, all that stuff has put all that stuff out 3 times now. There's nothing more to get.
And again, he just made up stuff all the time.
Yeah.
And he would retcon himself. Where you're like, George, stop.
He has to make Bank of America think he has this stack of gold to give him loans at the time. And you know what I mean? That he's having to take personal loans. And then we also need to remember that as this is happening, he makes Empire and it happens. And then he goes to make Jedi. His wife leaves him because he keeps working, and he's been promising this stuff. I think he did plan on doing it. I think he wanted to do it, but he doesn't stop working. His wife leaves him. Then she takes half of his money because California's a property state. So you just split it. And then he had to get ILM up and running, but he had to keep promising and live with this idea and keep pushing this idea, because it's all about appearances. And also the final thing I'll say, without wasting too much of the last of the show's time, is that once we get to 2008, we have the financial crisis. And again, that's when he actually has to do 7, 8, and 9 were always, in my opinion, about a financial flex or out of necessity. And
we'll get to that. Just tease it out for the maybe next week. We'll see how far we make it. But
we might all be dead. No, I'm sorry.
Well, we don't know what's going to happen between now and then, and what else we'll talk about before we get to it. But you can see here, Gary Kurtz is in that same interview. He says the total number of films or their content might change. So what you're saying fits with that narrative. They're just floating it out there. There's going to be 9 movies, but actually there might be a different number, and they might be different.
Yeah.
Reminds me of Finn saying, I'm with the Resistance. Resistance, they look like me. Some look different. He was never with the Resistance at all. So at that point, it's we're just making this up. There's 9 more movies or some other number, and they might be different. Who knows? I love that quote right there. It's funny when you actually look at it. It says Lucas similarly stated in Starlog magazine that he had 9 films plotted, but it's a long way from the plot to the script. It's a long way.
Most honest thing we've read so far in this thing. And not that if this stuff isn't sourced correctly and true in what Lucas was saying, but
true. It says plots change a lot when they start getting into script form. It's absolutely true.
Yeah, and it goes on to talk about author Del Pollack, and that's the skywalking, the the biography of Lucas, which is well worth a read, by the way. It's a classic book.
So yeah, and Pollock says that, and again, this changed because remember he said originally the sequels they would be like in their 60s. Now Pollock is saying, well, in the sequel trilogy drafts he would have been in his 30s or 40s. Big change.
Yeah,
right? A really big change, and they would have been the 3 most exciting stories. Which this is the kind of thing that made me mad when Lucas made the prequels instead, right?
Yeah.
Like, I'm old enough to remember, and I wanted the sequels. We had enough of the prequel kind of concepts, right? We could make up that story. We knew about the volcano. We knew about those kind of things, and it was like, okay, we kind of in our heads we know that, but the sequel part we wanted to see, and they were supposed to be the most exciting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He didn't make them, so.
And I honestly feel like whatever whenever you think of that quote, the most exciting, I think that just means I don't know what's going to happen, so I know there's going to be a lot of action. You know what I mean? That's
yeah. Well, that's what he says. They had propulsive action,
yeah,
interesting new worlds, and new characters. Lucas's plans were drastically changed after Empire, owing the stress of producing the first 3 films as well as pressure from his wife Marcia to step back.
Yeah.
By 81, he decided only making 1 Star Wars trilogy. So so we had all this stuff going on in the late 70s. We've got 12 movies, we've got 10 movies, we've got 9 movies, whatever. And by 81, Marcia says, "Time out, Haas. We're going to take a break." And he goes, "You know what? 3 movies is great."
Yeah, there's like a really sad quote from Lucas where he said, would I do it all again knowing what I've lost? I don't know.
Right.
Because he'd lost his wife, because she told him to slow down, to take a break, and he just kept going. He couldn't get somebody to write Return of the Jedi, so he had to write the first script. And that was, I think, the straw that probably broke the camel's back for her in terms of what we know. Maybe not. Who knows what their marriage really was? But that's the way it's been presented in the history.
Oh, exactly. And people have speculated, and I'm one who have, that if Marcia was involved throughout, that all of them would have been better. I think she made the original trilogy better. It's my opinion.
Yeah.
You know, I wasn't there. I was a kid. I was watching the movies. I'm only reading this stuff, and who knows how much accuracy's in it. But yeah, you know, he states some regrets, and then we see later, and we'll get into this. X-Wing Meg's true. She's actually here. She, you know, as much as she trolls me, she is saying here, this is true. All right, I do like Rise of Skywalker better than Revenge of the Sith. It's truth. It's I make no apologies for it. It's my own opinion. So it's true. Green Lantern, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And the one thing that I think is different, I think you're right. I don't think that I think the difference between George Lucas back then and then the prequel era was the peer review group changed. And by the time he gets to the prequels and he puts out something crazy in there, everyone who was in his peer review group had left, or they were like, "George, you're the guy who makes $1 bajillion. Like, I'm barely getting by as a filmmaker." Yeah, dude, you're right. I don't know what I'm doing compared to you. And so people were like, "Dude, this is you, man. Like, you've always been crazy, and this sounds like you being crazy." And so I think that's the big difference in reality. That, to me, that's how it really went down.
And I can say this with my whole heart. Meg is my very first lesbian crush. I love her from the bottom of my heart. I absolutely adore her, and so thankful for her being part of our community. But Green Lantern, what did he say? Yeah, you heard it. Yeah. Wait, what?
Wait, what?
Oh my goodness! No, and again, just to kind of preview where we're headed with this, we'll be getting into the. There's Will Morgan too. Everybody's like, wait, What?
They fly now? Sorry. Sorry, I did it.
We'll be talking about the prequel era. So all of this that we talked about today was during the. Did Santa just say what I think he said? Yeah. Oh, that's hilarious.
No, he said he has the Force now. That's fine.
No. We'll be getting into the prequel era and kind of the things that happened. We talked a lot about the original trilogy era, that time between the late 70s, early 80s. But then another thing happens. And ultimately, and in reading this article, the impact of red tails, I think, is much greater than has been reported in the Star Wars community. As the Star Wars community and George Lucas and Lucasfilm, everything seems to focus solely on Star Wars.
Yeah.
But George Lucas is a filmmaker, and that's hilarious. I don't know. I'm not even sure how that works, Mark. No, I think everything George is as a filmmaker exceeds Star Wars. Star Wars by far the biggest piece, but he's about more than that, right? He's Howard the Duck. He's also Red Tails. He's also Willow, right? Like he's much more than Star Wars, and I think sometimes we
Ronnie.
I thought she was British. Which big surprise, she's actually French. So there you go. I'm outing Meg. There you go.
Paint me like your Meg girls, Santa.
No, there are other things that impacted George and affected what he did following the prequels. And his mind, we'll talk about it again. There's a lot of things that are going to happen as we read through this chronologically and see what happens. So, thank you. I know we've gone really long and we're bumping up into your prep time.
No, it's okay. It's okay.
It's a fascinating discussion and one that I don't think gets enough credit as we start to look, especially now as the criticism for the sequel trilogy and what we've come to accept as truth isn't necessarily truth.
No, it's PR.
It is PR, and George constantly was doing it along his way, and Meg. George Lucas is constantly, and I've said this a couple times, he's constantly retconning himself, and it's PR. It is. I think you put it well there, succinctly, right? Like he's constantly promoting and whether it's coming up with funds to do the next project or kind of bankroll what he was doing, because again, it's famously known he didn't have he was financing the original trilogy so much, and so some of this was to get the lenders to lend. And then after that, things happened, and he would just retcon it in his mind, and we'll see examples of that too. So I hope you guys join us again as we continue the discussion next week and wherever it goes from here, because there's a lot of gold to be mined out of this, and to help understand more of the complete picture rather than this narrative that we get around give us George Lucas's sequels. Well, which sequels?
Yeah.
And what would they have actually been from the time he had his story treatments to his actual what he delivered? How closely would they have represented anything that you saw, from beginning to end?
And if you didn't really love the prequels, why would you ask for more prequels? It wasn't like the sequel trilogies were going to be any different tonally from that. The prequels are George Lucas's unfettered tone. Yeah. That's truthfully, I think. And Red Tails, I think, also expresses that same idea.
Well, Meg, hopefully we will untangle some of this confusion. Yeah. Oh my goodness, so much fun. What are you covering today with your sketchy friend?
We're going to be talking about the Boba trailer that you and I talked about. We'll be hearing Rob's take on both of them because he wasn't on the show for the last part of it. And then I challenged Max Zandau to do the eyeliner from the Boba trailer that Flashdance wears, the Twilight Flashdance. And so Max is going to come on and we're gonna judge. Did you pull it off, Max? Yeah.
Oh, very good.
That's where we're at this Monday because we just do whatever we want.
And can I tease out that there is an animated work being created that everybody can look forward to getting at some point?
It's ridiculous.
It's a lot of fun. Much like my good friend Will Morgan, Meta Egg. I got previews of his videos before he released them. Let me let you guys know, Jason's been working on an animated work that is something.
It's something. It's something. That is how I would describe it. In the description, that's what it's going to say. It's something.
I mean, you guys will understand when you see it.
It's something.
So we do have to close out with our Mike Porter dad joke of the day. Everybody who's been hanging out, Mike Porter, did you hear about the Razor who was almost in an accident? It was a close shave.
I thought it was gonna go in the Razor Crest direction, but all right.
Oh, very good. Well, thank you so much, Jason. I appreciate it. And you guys in the chat, you've been great. We will see you again next time. And until then, Merry Christmas, and may the Force be with you always. Bye-bye.